week has been kind of interesting, Dean. Are you a buyer or are you a seller?
Yeah, it's a wild ride. Well, I had some orders in at what I thought were low prices, so I became a buyer
Yeah.
overnight without knowing it. And then obviously would love to have bought at lower prices. But am I a seller? No, I'm not a seller right now. It's a little touch and go.
But I
It
think we
could
should probably sell everything, don't you?
sell
Just,
everything, get a few good nights sleep, and then reassess. Maybe choose different careers, and
it's all over, isn't it? I think crypto is over. I think Joe Biden, China, and what else? Elon Musk, they've just destroyed us. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Let's
thank you. We're done. Good
yeah,
night.
I live about 30 minutes from Disney. I'm going to freaking Disney this afternoon.
No, but really, it's a big question, obviously, on everybody's minds. The difference is some people don't have the ability to hang in there, depending on where you bought. If you bought nice and low, then well, it sucks to have given up a bunch of your gains. But this is the kind of stuff you can ride out by buying low or by not having over leveraged yourself.
Right.
Um,
That always concerns me with people is that there is leverage available, margin purchasing now in the crypto market. And I, for one, am not a margin purchaser. I don't leverage because I only put in what I'm willing to lose. And I think that's probably the smartest advice I would give to any newcomer or even anyone that's been in it for a while. You kind of really have to look at the whole picture and say, what am I willing to lose instead of throwing in your life savings or your rent check or, the food for next week. Let's just let it all ride and see what happens. I mean, it is volatile, right? So you could lose stuff if you're not able to hold on or you think that it's always going to go up. Well, I think the last week has proven exactly the opposite.
Well, let's examine that decision for just a moment that maybe some people make, right? Because I'm sure nobody just gets into the market on their first shot, putting their mortgage into the market. I think what happens is they put a little bit in and it goes up and they start thinking, oh, if I had put a lot more in, I would have more right now. And then it goes up higher. And then they start hearing everyone talking about how it's going to be $300,000 and this and that. And they see it keep going up and up and up. And they put more in and they're like, this is great. Oh, if only I had put more in earlier, I would have even more money, right?
Yeah.
And I think the markets and the market manipulators, they trick people into getting in over their heads. And then when it crashes like this, that's when it's really tough. That's why, I mean, I know I just said that I bought some. I'll buy if it's relatively low, but generally once the bull market has begun, like I'm buying, but it's considerably less than what I was buying during the bear market, because that's really when you want to get the bulk of your money in.
And I think that's what yeah, buy red as opposed to buying green. But a lot of people, right now, especially people that might be watching this video who are newer to it, they just want to get in and they don't know what price to get in at. And maybe that's something we should be talking about is kind of like what we're doing and how we do it. Because, a lot of people sign up for their account, they put $100 in, they put $1,000 in or whatever number they have to go with. And they buy right at the market price, right at that moment, because they want to be in. Nobody wants to wait because taking that step and signing up and going forward means that you're making a commitment to it. And, maybe you're right. When a market's in a bull run, it didn't matter if you bought at 52 because the next day it was at 55 or 56 and you feel good about it. But then you don't feel so good. A lot of us probably have stomach aches that bought in the 50s and there's some of us that probably bought in the 60s, right? And now we're down at the 30s. It's now what? How much leverage did I have? How much money did I put in there that I was not willing to lose? But I couldn't tell you that 30 something was a good price to buy it. I thought that was kind of a dream level to be able to repurchase Bitcoin at. And that would go across the board for all the alternative coins. But our dreams came true, right? So doing the impossible and thinking, wow, maybe I should get in. But I do think right now, for people, it is a good time to get in. It's a good time, you've bought, I've bought. I'm not giving specific financial advice. I'm doing what's right for me. That doesn't necessarily apply to you. Always look at your own situation before you make investment decisions. But I think in the 30s, it's a safe bet that if you put money in, you're not going to lose too much. I think most of the market, we've seen a lot of big people that, a lot of big institutions come into the market, like you were just alluding to, that are buying up crypto like crazy right now. So I don't see it going away, no matter what Joe Biden says about the how they're going to regulate it in the future, no matter what they're doing in terms of China, because it will always move overseas. If China doesn't want Bitcoin, somebody else will. And whatever Elon Musk says, I mean, he's a big Dogecoin supporter as of this morning, and he's going to be all in and he's not going to sell that. But he's also a big Bitcoin supporter, as you've pointed out in previous videos. The guy isn't getting rid of his Bitcoin. Why is that?
Well, he actually even made some comments today, and this is kind of I alluded this to the other day. When the markets are really extended, they look for bad news to cling on to so they can send it back down. And there was some more bad news today, but it's mostly going sideways.
Are
And
you
then
saying the news is kind of getting recycled? Because that whole China thing to me felt like a recycle of what we've been talking about for the last 10 days, anyhow. Oh,
yeah,
China's, banning this, or they're letting people snitch on their neighbors. I read that stuff days ago, and yet there's a new article out today almost saying the same thing. It's like they're trying to get people into this, they're trying to scare people into selling.
yeah. I've seen some really negative stories coming from Bloomberg. I don't know what their deal is. They seem to be on the side of wanting to push crypto down. I mean, in some ways, with the media, it might have to do with old money versus new money, and being protective, and depending on who owns those media outlets and whatnot. That's a whole bigger, different question. And I definitely news plays in. I think as soon as some good news comes up, it's so far down now. As soon as some good news comes around, I think we're going to see the markets rise again, but could go sideways for some time. And just as far as new people getting in, I mean, I said I'm not doing that much buying, and yet my advice would be, I'm not giving financial advice, but if people ask me, like friends and family, it really depends on your situation. And if you're not in at all, it's still okay to get in, just depending on how much you're putting in. If you're putting in an amount that it is okay for you to lose, then it's not a big deal. And again, my guiding principle is that the future price of crypto will be higher than it is now. So you might not get the best price, or I mean, now is relatively better time to buy, but if my family asks me if they should buy any, I wouldn't dissuade them just because of the swings or the manipulation. My advice would be to get in at an amount that's comfortable for you and stick to that. That's really, I think, the most important thing, because it's different for people who got in like us earlier. Sure, we maybe aren't buying percentage wise as much. Maybe we're looking for good spots to sell, but the calculation is very different when you already have a bunch of crypto. So
Right.
that's what I
Well, the
would say.
good news, it's not trading at 50 and 60 right now. And all the experts would agree that Bitcoin is going to go to 100. I've heard as much as 250 by the end of the year, $250,000 by the end of the year. I'm more on the 100 side. That's where I think the price target is for Bitcoin. And when I think about that, it's 3xing, and you have to think about the alternative coins. They'll probably do the same. There'll be some that will outmaneuver Bitcoin, and there'll be some that underperform as well. But a 3x return, I think, is very possible between now and the end of the year. It may even be possible in the next few months. So I wouldn't be selling right now, as much as you're hearing all this negative news coming out. It seems like every day it's piling on. That's a strategy. That's a strategy. And believe me, the big institutions, we've seen it, we can track it, and we can follow it. The big money right now is buying up Bitcoin and alternative coins like crazy. They're loving that people are jumping out and selling at a loss, because they're buying it up at a cheap level that they thought they'd never be able to see again. This is what happens. And we've seen it in the stock market, we're seeing it in the crypto markets. Yes, it's volatile. Be careful, be cautious, no matter what you do out there, but also enjoy the benefit of it. And right now, we all see it as a big sale. So go shopping. If you love what we're talking about, hit the like and subscribe button, and you'll get more content like this in the future. Hope you have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.
That was great. Thanks. See you guys. Bye bye.
See ya.